Whoa.
You're too tall.
Do I need to be scared of this?
It doesn't know who you are.
Looks like it has a life of its own. My heart is bursting. It's overflowing. The Swedish club, there's an irony to it that we're celebrating 40 years here, because you heard of the Spanish-speaking Chinese lawyer who went to Central America with a crazy idea that was given to him at a Swedish church. The Evangelical Covenant Church has Swedish roots. Given through a message by an Argentinian preacher. It gets crazier. You haven't heard the half of it. But, yeah, I mean, what can you say? There's just too much to be thankful for. But we're going to take some time here to rejoice together in this gathering. The relationships represented in this room are staggering. Staff who have worked tirelessly, board members served tirelessly. We've all been on trips where we drove tirelessly and rode in the back of buses, bouncing up and down tirelessly. It's 40 years full of great memories, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I've used the imagery of tapestry before, of God weaving this magnificent tapestry of what Agros is, of what Agros has become. All of us in this room are woven, interwoven, inextricably in that tapestry. The threads, you know, the back of a tapestry is chaos. You don't know that there's a beautiful picture on the other side. It's a chaos of threads going every which way, and that's all of us are represented by those kinds of threads. We're interwoven with each other. You can't help it. Don't blame me that I'm Chinese and you're not. But our lives have forever been sewn together. And that's why I've always regarded Agros as a family. And this is a family. You know, one of my favorite theologians, Reinhold Niebuhr, has said that God is not impartial. He is partial toward the poor. He's partial toward the poor. And the thing about these 40 years is that God has given us, collectively, the incredible privilege of serving the people that He is partial toward. He's chosen us. What an adventure, what a great privilege this has been. He's chosen us to break the cycle of poverty, to lift the poor up from the ash heaps, to give them seats of dignity and honor in their lives. He chose us to do that. He even gave us the incredible privilege of being answers to people's prayers. Wow. Think of that. I have to tell you about the farmer in Nicaragua, Futuro de Mañana. We went and visited the village in the early days of Nicaragua when that village first started. And we conversed with this man who was out working in the field, in his field. And he said, you know, when I was a boy, I worked hard every day for a patron, a landowner. When I was a man, I continued to work hard. And it was despair. I just had despair in my heart. And I cried out to God while I was tilling the soil. I cried out to God and asked Him one day, would you please let me own my own land and work my own land? And he said, God answered that prayer because I'm standing on the same piece of land. I'm working on the land that I prayed on, the very land that he worked. So you see, that man's prayers were answered through us. God answered that prayer, but he chose us to be the vehicle of that answered prayer. It just staggers me that we would have that incredible privilege of being an answer to people praying to God. You know as well as I do, especially those of you who have traveled multiple times to the villages and developed relationships and friendships with the poor, with the people in these villages. I'm going to just tell you about two people who have just given me, they're unforgettable, both. One is Roberto Sosa, this guy here. Those of you who of you were on this trip, where this was Nicaragua? We were handing out land titles. Ken, you were there?
Yep.
Molly? Okay.
You're speaking of the trip where he sang you a song.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. He wrote a song for Agros. He wrote a song and I'm in that song. I mean, I feel a little bit like Frodo. You remember? Are they going to write a song about us?
You're not only in the verse, but you're in the chorus.
But anyway, Roberto Sosa, after the ceremony, he came to me. This picture is taken 5 minutes after he began embracing me. It was a 5-minute embrace. It would have been awkward to be hugged for 5 minutes by a man who wouldn't let you go. But this was the emotion overflowing in his heart. And he said, you know, we're speaking in Spanish. He said, I've wanted to meet you all this time. I didn't think I'd ever get to meet you. He said, you know, yo soy cantante, no soy agricultor. I'm a singer. I'm not a farmer. I'm a singer. And you know, he plays one of those big, huge guitars. And he said, when this village was started, my friends said, Roberto, come join us, come join us. I said, I can't join you. I'm a singer. I don't know how to cultivate the fields. But he said, my friends told me, we'll help you. We'll help you. And so he said, I came, and they helped me. And now I'm just about 6 months away from fully paying my land, and I'll get a title next time. And he thanked me. And he said, Don Esquip, you know, we prayed for you. This was in 2017 or 18. I lost my wife, Sid, in 2016. Those villages prayed for Sid and for me, and they were heartbroken when they heard that she had died. So he says, this is still during the embrace. He says, you know, my father lost his wife too. And he found a young Nicaraguan girl just last year and married her. Don Esquip, would you like me to find her? He's still embracing you. This is the level of love. This is a level of relationship that we have the privilege to enjoy with these people that we've all been helping. This is the level. So that's Roberto Sosa. Then I want to tell you about Caterina. On the left, that's Caterina about 32 years ago. She had the brightest smile on her face. Mark Weber, when you guys took over our website, you chose that picture as one of the featured pictures.
Wow.
And well chosen because Caterina, when I first met her, she's part of El Paraíso in the Ischel Triangle in Nevar. When I first met her, She said something I've never forgotten. She said, you know, people say I'm poor, but I'm not poor. I have 2 hands, I have 2 feet, I have strong legs. I can work hard. I'm not poor. Well, that was 32 years ago. 2 years ago, 2022, I saw Caterina again. Liz and I, by the way, Roberto Sosa didn't have to find me a young Nicaraguan girl. God found me a wonderful. I saw her 2 years ago. The Guatemalans celebrated the 40th anniversary 2 years ago because that's when I first went to Guatemala to explore. It took 2 years to get to the point where we realized there's something here. So we incorporated Agros 40 years ago. But the first idea was 42 years ago, so the Guatemalans think it's 1982. So they had their 40-year anniversary, and it was a surprise to me. The staff didn't tell me anything about this. So at El Paraíso, Caterina's village, we had a big ceremony. That's just, they gave me all kinds of new swag, red coat, the bag. I actually got 3 coats on that trip, and a vest from different villages, and a hat, which is about 3 sizes too small. I actually gave the hat to Yadira. Yadira, where are you? Do you still have the hat? Yeah, she looked wonderful in the hat. I looked ridiculous. But here's the point. She sees me. Again, it's the embrace. Don't escape. I never thought I'd see you again. We thought you had died. No, and I have a picture too of this embrace, Caterina and me. So after the ceremony was over, I saw her across the room, and I went over, and I found out these were her 2 grandchildren. The young man is a university student. The girl is 16 years old. And you know, and I know, she will never experience the poverty that her grandmother went through. So, this is when it dawned on me. It worked. This crazy idea actually worked. We broke the cycle of poverty.
What?
We really did.
Yeah.
Caterina's poverty was the remainder of 400 years. For 400 years, generations and generations and generations had gone through the kind of poverty that she suffered. But her children and grandchildren will never suffer that kind of poverty. That cycle, that generational cycle, has been broken. So think of that, brothers and sisters. Think of that. God gave us this privilege to help these people to accomplish something that really seemed impossible. And the impossible became not only possible, but became real. It's reality. It's no longer a crazy idea. It is reality. Caterina, I told Heather and Molly and David when I asked them if these could be put on the slides, I said, she represents the bookend. These are bookend pictures, then and now. Do you see why my heart is so full? Let me see. Let me just conclude by saying this. This has been an interesting day for me. We had a board meeting this afternoon here on the other side of this wall. But this morning, Liz and I sat down and we prayed. And I told her, I need prayer today. I am just overflowing with emotion. And these are conflicting emotions. I even have fear. And the fear is pride. I don't want to be proud of me. And you are all a reminder that let's be proud together of what Jesus has done, of what the Lord has done for his people that he's partial toward.
Yes.
This is what we can be proud of. You know, I called you brothers and sisters. If you haven't read or seen the play or watched the movie of Henry V, where King Henry talks about St. Crispin's Day before the Battle of Agincourt, when something like 8,000 Englishmen defeated 100,000 Frenchmen. He talked about the band of brothers. So tonight, I use that term deliberately. He talked about how it was a privilege. He said it's because his cousin Westmoreland had wished that there be just a few more men from England who are idle today to join us in this fight. And King Henry says, no, I don't want any more men. In fact, those of you who go in with fear in this battle, please leave. You have a passport to leave, and you'll have coins in your purse to pay for the trip back. Those of us who remain and fight this battle, he said, if we come out of this alive, we will forever remember this day. And there will be others in England who rue the fact that they were not here with us. What a privilege, he said, it is. In other words, he was saying it's a privilege for us to be here, this small band of brothers, to do this great work. Well, band of brothers, there's 70 in this room. By the way, there was 70 when I count about 70 people in Joseph's family, in Jacob's family, who went to Egypt. But there's 70 of us here tonight. What an incredible privilege it has been. I cannot be, the more I think of what Agros has accomplished over these 40 years, the more humbled I am, the more awestricken I am, because we have personally witnessed the hand of God at work to help the people for whom he is partial and he loves. And he loved us enough to let us be part of that work. So thank you. I could not thank you more. I couldn't, from deeper within my heart. Just know there is a love within me for you and an appreciation of your friendship over all these years. I can't, I am at a loss for words. I just thank you and I thank God.